Welcome to the Retirement Guy Podcast with Gary Alden from the Kingwood Investment Group. In this podcast, we educate people in or near retirement so they can make informed decisions and bridge the confidence gap. Learn how to mitigate risk in retirement so you don't run out of money before you run out of you. Join Gary Alden and explore strategies on how to live a stress-free retirement.
Hello and welcome to the Retirement Guy with Gary Alden from Kingwood Investment Group. Today we're talking about annuities. Woohoo! Annuities 101 is what Gary's going to be covering. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Good morning, Eric. I'm just fine.
I've had lots of coffee this morning.
I don't drink coffee, but
got that
I
natural
do want
one.
a shot of something in the morning. I do my Dr. Pepper.
Oh, there you go. See, that's my wife's go-to. She loves Dr. Pepper, but yeah, that and Big Red. And you're in Texas, so
there you go. And Big Red sells a lot in Texas.
I can't stand that stuff. I'm sorry.
I've
offense to Big
Red. I've
Red.
never had a Big Red, so it just doesn't look right.
Yeah. All right. Well, on to the show. So we're talking about annuities, and you said this is Annuities 101. So this is the basics.
It is the basics, and annuities are one of the most misunderstood products that there's out there. There's so much misinformation. But before the show today, I just went on the internet, and if it's on the internet, of course, it has to be true. But
100%.
I was just looking up what's the definition of annuity. So anyway, the definition of annuity says it's a noun. It's a specified income payable at stated intervals for a fixed or contingent period, often for the recipient's life, in consideration for a stipulated premium paid either in monthly payments or in a single payment. So kind of going back, it's, hey, they're going to give you money for either a fixed period of time or your life, and you're going to give them some money either monthly or in a lump sum.
I think most people think of it as a monthly payment kind of thing. You're buying an annuity. This is at least what I kind of learned when I first started in this business or learning more about finances. Well, you pay a monthly thing now, and then later on you get that, you get money back, right, on a monthly basis.
There you go.
Yeah, but there's a lot more to it, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot more to it. And if you really go by the definition, virtually everybody in the United States, an adult anyway, owns an annuity. And that's called Social Security. Because what's Social Security?
Okay.
Social Security, you put in money every 2 weeks out of your paycheck. Your employer has to match that money, which is a pretty good deal. And then when you retire someday, hey, they're going to start sending you a monthly check. So by definition, Social Security is a type of annuity. It would be what we call a deferred income annuity. In other words, you put money in and you're not going to receive payments for years and years from now, so it's deferred. Now, the most common type of annuity, and only about 35, 40% of people in the United States still get these, and that's a pension. So when you get your pension annuity, and that's what it says on the statement, your pension annuity, and you can pick for your life, you and your wife's or your spouse's life, or I just want to get the money for 20 years, or you have a whole bunch of different choices. So when you choose your pension, I always tell my clients, don't just check a box and don't think about it. Sit down with your financial advisor and make sure you're taking your pension from your company at the right time. And are you taking it at monthly checks? Are you taking a lump sum? It's a big decision. Same way on Social Security. Sit down with your financial advisor and find the optimum time in your particular situation to take Social Security. So those are the two most common types of annuity payments. Social Security is an annuity payment. And your pension annuity from your company, or if you're a government worker, is also a type of annuity. There are 6 basic types of annuities that you could go out there and purchase, in addition to maybe getting a pension from your company, or of course getting your Social Security payment.
And what are we covering today then?
Well, cover the easiest one first, and those are called MYGAs, MYGA, which stands for Multi-Year Guaranteed Annuity.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. So far, so good.
And some people equate these or compare them to a CD, and they are very, very similar to a CD at the bank and how they work. In that, let's say you go down to the bank, and right now, maybe let's say the CD will pay you 3% for 5 years. So every single year, you get 3% on your money. You could take the interest payments on that and take them as income, or A lot of CDs will let you just keep the money there at the bank and reinvest it. Works the same way on a multi-year guaranteed annuity, except the multi-year guaranteed annuities, they always look and see what the banks are paying. So let's just say the banks are paying 3. The annuity companies will virtually always offer more money than what the typical bank is paying. So like right now, for a 5-year multi-year guaranteed annuity, as of today's date, you can get 4% on your money for 5 years. So you could either take that money as monthly income, or you could just let it accrue tax deferred. That is one advantage that annuity has that a CD doesn't have. The money can grow tax deferred. Then at the end of the 5-year period, you could choose to leave the money in the annuity or just cash it out. Same way you could do at the bank. Leave the money at the bank or cash out the CD. Very, very simple. And usually multi-year guarantee annuities, you can buy them as 3-year, normally 3-year, 5-year, 7-year, 10-year. The sweet spot is usually either a 3-year or 5-year, which is what most people purchase. The next annuity I want to cover, it's called QLAC, QLAC, and these are qualified longevity annuity contracts, QLACs.
All right.
This is really the newest type of annuity. It just came into being in 2015, was passed by Congress, and QLACs can only be located inside either a 401k plan or an IRA account. And what they allow you to do is defer your RMDs to a later date. An RMD, if you remember, Eric, you're not this old yet, but when you turn 70 and a half, under current rules, you have to start taking money out of your IRA account, whether you want to or not.
Yeah, and you've actually talked a lot about RMDs and different strategies on previous podcasts. So for those of you that are listening, if you want to learn more about that, go back to some of Gary's past podcasts, and he talks about some really good strategies when it comes to RMDs. Sorry, I didn't want to derail it, but I need to make that point because you really covered it well.
Yep, and it's something, you'll hear us talk about these 2 or 3 times. Now, for 2019, they've actually raised the amount of money that you can contribute to a QLAC. It was $125,000. Now you can put $130,000 in there. And these are linked to inflation. So periodically these will go up in $5,000 increments. So, but today, $130,000. So let me tell you how QLAC works in the real world. You can put up to 25% of your IRA account into a QLAC as long as that does not exceed $130,000. So it's either 25% or $130,000, whichever is lower. So let's just say, for example, you have a $520,000 IRA. 25% of that would be $130,000. Put $130,000 in a QLAC, and now that $130,000 is not subject to required minimum distributions. So when it comes time to take money out of your IRA, if you had a $520,000 IRA account, $130,000 is taken away from that amount. So it leaves what, $390? Did I do the math right? So then you only have to take required minimum distributions on $390,000. Now there is a drop dead date on taking money out of that QLAC, and you can delay up to age 85. You could start it sooner, but once you do turn on the money at whatever age you choose, so let's just say it's age 85, then it's going to pay a fixed amount of income to you normally for the rest of your life. You could pick a period certain, or you could pick the rest of your life. Most people are probably going to pick lifetime income. And then once you turn on that income, then it's going to be subject to RMDs, but you can push it back to age 85.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. That's good.
And there's a lot of people that want to leave more money tax deferred for a rainy day, or maybe they want to leave the money to the kids, et cetera. There's a way of doing it. And then when you do turn on the income, it's guaranteed income from an insurance company. It's not a variable. It's guaranteed fixed income.
Got it. Sounds pretty good.
The next one, and by the way, you and I have talked about coming up with subjects for these podcasts. And I think I mentioned to you one day, hey, Eric, I'm running out of ideas. I finally figured out a way to come up with ideas for these podcasts. Listen to some of these, I'm not going to use the word I thought of, some of the crazy people on the radio who talk about stuff, and they give you a one-sided view about stuff.
What? They do
yeah,
that?
Really. I know that's hard to believe. But I heard a guy a couple of weeks ago. I happened to go get my car washed on a Saturday morning. So anyway, I was listening to the radio on my phone, and I was listening to this guy. He's actually, I think he's on nationally, and he was talking about all the bad things about annuities. And he started mixing the different attributes of one annuity with the attributes of a different annuity, and talk about how bad annuities are. But you have to take this guy's, his little spiel with a grain of salt, because he manages money. So if you put your money into an annuity, then he can't manage your money and say, put it in stocks and bonds. So, he couldn't take your money and say, put it in Enron or Blockbuster Video or Kodak or Lehman Brothers or all kinds of stocks of companies that have gone bankrupt. So he was just saying how bad annuities are, and really he's doing a disservice to the people listening.
Well, Gary, we've talked about this before. The other thing is he doesn't know them. He doesn't know people personally to be able to make a blanket statement like that. I'm sure annuities don't work for everybody, but it definitely will work for people in certain situations. And that's exactly what you do, is you have that personal relationship so you can figure that out. But to just make blanket statements like that, that's reckless. And I think it's appalling, and honestly, because you're misleading people.
Yeah. And to me, it's malpractice.
Exactly.
There's another guy, he used to run newspaper ads. I think he's gone away from these now. And his big spiel in his newspaper ads was, I hate annuities and so should you. And again, the guy manages money. So if you put money into an annuity, he can't put it into an account and manage that money. But one of my questions is, if you set up an annuity for lifetime income, guaranteed income, well, the guy who manages money on the radio, will he promise you a check if all your money goes poof in Enron? He's not going to send you a check. So, but you could take the sentence, I hate annuities and so should you, and I could substitute any word for annuities, like I hate CDs and so should you. So CDs, do they have good points? Yeah. Do they have bad points? Yeah. Same way on annuities. So are good annuities? Yes. So are bad annuities? Absolutely. But any kind of investments you can name, there are pros and cons. And you can't you can make a statement, but again, to me, it's malfeasance when you do that.
Yeah. It's just, I hate mechanics. No, I hate mechanics that will rip you off or lie to you about your vehicle. Those are the ones you don't want to do business with. Or like you said, I hate bad annuities, or I hate bad CDs. Those are bad products, but there are good ones that you don't want to hate that might work for you.
There you go. I had a lady not long ago came in the office, and she owns an annuity. And I asked her why she owned that annuity, and she told me why she bought it. It's a perfectly good annuity, but for what she wanted in her situation, it was the wrong annuity.
Oh.
So, and I explained to her, here's how this worked. And just to make for sure, she happened to be there and we had a little bit of time, we just picked up a phone, called the annuity company. And I wanted to make sure I understood the specifics of how exactly that annuity worked. And she told me, she says, well, that's not what it was explained to me when I bought it. So, okay, but she just bought it a couple of years ago. So she kind of stuck because there are surrender charges on most annuities. So I told her, I says, hey, we can make do with it, for a while. And then maybe down the road in 3, 4, 5, 6 years, we could always look at maybe replacing it with something that is a better fit.
Okay. So you might have just answered my question right there a little bit, but I think there's probably people listening to this podcast right now that are saying, well, I've got an annuity and my brother-in-law sold it to me, or my neighbor, down the street sold it to me, and I don't know if it fits what I need. How do people find that out? How can they find out if the annuity they have is A, right for them, or B, if it's a good or bad one?
Well, the biggest thing, and this is what I sit down and do with folks, and I may have mentioned this to you before, I do everything from a plan. And I use math and science. Let's crunch the numbers, take the emotion out of when you do financial planning, and let's use math and science, come up with real numbers. And I think I mentioned to you before the podcast today, I have some new whippy-skippy software that lets me analyze annuities. And it's from a third party, so it's not from some annuity company or somebody else. It's a piece of software so I can go in and analyze annuities from a math and science standpoint, not an emotional standpoint, so we can see, hey, do you own a good annuity for your situation? Is it
Mm-hmm.
a bad annuity for your situation? In other words, it's got to be in the context of an overall financial plan. You've got to look at your Social Security income, your IRA income, everything else, your medical situation. What are you spending on medical expenses? All those things considered in a plan. And sometimes when I do a plan and we put an annuity into the plan, sometimes it actually makes the plan worse. Most of the time, it will make the plan better. And then sometimes it's a neutral. Do it, not do it, not going to make a lot of difference either way.
Gotcha. And that's when you're building the models to take a look at what would work and what wouldn't.
Right. So, and I know there's a lot of people out there, a lot of insurance guys out there, they're selling a product. I know they have good intentions, but they've just got tunnel vision. This one product fits everybody. And and I know one product does not fit all.
Exactly.
So some of these products, again, they're great products, but again, they may not be right for you in your situation. That's why you want to sit down with a planner such as myself, and there's a lot of good planners besides me out there, but somebody who's going to be objective, take a look at it in your situation, what works, what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
The third annuity let's talk about is a SPIA, and that's a single premium immediate annuity. They will normally pay you more money than any other type of annuity. However, most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time when you do a single premium immediate annuity, your principal is now gone. This is how the insurance company who gives you the annuity can offer you such a good, say, monthly payment is, let's say you gave them $100,000. Well, that $100,000 is now no longer in your account. So there's not $100,000 to dip into there. But the trade-off is they'll pay you more money every single month the rest of your life than you'll probably get from any other possible source. But the trade-off is that money is now gone. So you've got to be betting that you're going to live a real long time. The insurance company is betting that you won't live a real long time. So literally, the older you are, the more money they'll give you on a single premium immediate annuity. We like to do the type of immediate annuities which has a cash refund on it. And again, I was talking to one of my clients yesterday, and we were talking about putting $300,000 into immediate annuity, but it's got a cash refund. So what that means in English, let's say it's a $300,000 annuity, and it's paying out so much per month the rest of his life, guaranteed. And in this case, joint life because he's married. But let's just say at some point in time, it's paid out $100,000. Remember, we put in 3. It's paid out $100,000, and the client and his wife both pass away. The remainder, $200,000, is just paid out to the kids. And
Really?
that, a lot of people like that, and I like that because that way there's still money to leave to the kids, church, charity. In other words, you got a legacy to leave.
So I would assume that those would pay out less on a monthly basis than ones that you didn't have a, what did you call it?
Cash refund.
The cash refund. So if that would pay less than ones that have that don't have a cash refund.
Oh yeah, so it's kind of a compromise.
Gotcha.
And so anyway, it's another type, and every type of annuity we're talking about here today, we're talking about in general. But when you get into like single premium immediate annuities, then there's shades of gray within there. Mm-hmm. So there's 6 general types, and then within each type, there's a whole bunch of variations. So it can just be mind-boggling.
Yeah, and that's why you know the client really well, so you can help make sure that piece within that piece fits.
Oh yeah, lots of times we're on the phone when we think an annuity might be a fit. We may get on the phone and we may talk to a dozen different insurance companies because we're trying to find the right solution for that client at that given point in time. And why we do that is insurance companies are coming out with new products all the time. Again, yesterday I had a gentleman in from one of the big insurance companies, and they're rolling out here the 1st of July, here in a couple of days, they're rolling out a couple of brand new annuities, and he wanted to show them to me before they are, the official rollout date.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and we may or may not ever use any of those annuities, but at least it's an arrow in our quiver of possible solutions for the client.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So we've covered MYGAs, we've covered SPIAs, we've covered QLACs. The next one to talk about is variable annuities. And variable annuities probably get the most, they get slammed in the press the most because of high fees. And variable annuities do have high fees. So not only fees just for the contract itself, then there can also be a fee for the rider. There's also fees on the sub accounts. That's what you can invest in. And variable annuities, I rarely will do a variable annuity. It has to be an extremely specific instance when I will do one because of the high fees in variable annuities. You've got, let's just say it's nothing unusual. I have 3 to 4% of fees in a variable annuity. So let's just say there's 4% fees. Well, if your sub account, which is like a mutual fund in the account, if it only does 4 and you have 4% fees, you didn't make any money. The fees wiped out all your gains. So you have a high bar before you start making money. Now, the glossy brochure on these variable annuities, they promise you this and that, but you've got to cut through the glossy brochure and understand how the math works. And again, we have some software that lets us analyze your particular annuity and really see how it's working underneath the hood, if you will, and have an objective opinion on what it's doing and what it's not doing for you. So again, a variable annuity could be a solution for your particular situation, but it's probably the one that I'm going to have the most study on. There are some I'll take this, let me go one step back. There are some very, very good variable annuities on the books. In fact, some of these are so good for the client, the annuity companies are coming in and buying and telling the companies, hey, if you'll get rid of all the guarantees on that annuity, we'll give you a lump sum of money. So if the insurance company, and this happened with one of my clients, is a big insurance company, well known in the U.S., and this happened maybe 4 years ago with my client. The annuity company sent my client a letter and offered him over $200,000. They would just add to his annuity if he would give up all the guaranteed lifetime income benefit riders on there. And when I talked to my doctor client,
right?
I said, this tells you have a real good annuity if they're offering a couple $100,000 to buy out those guarantees. And I won't tell you the rest of the story, but then we did some more work on that and decide, hey, do we keep the annuity or do we take the $200,000 and shop for something else?
Yeah. Wow.
So anyway, so that's variable annuities. They get the most, when people say, I hate annuities and so should you, or annuities have high costs, they're really talking about variable annuities without saying the word, but they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater and they're including all annuities in that statement, which is dumb.
Exactly.
The next one I want to talk to you, number 5, this is a DIA. This is a deferred income annuity. And that's really, if you really think about it, that's what Social Security is. You're putting in money, say every month, every 2 weeks, whatever it happens to be, or it could be a lump sum, but then you're not taking the money for a long time. So exactly what Social Security does. You start to work when you're 20, 21, and you're putting in money, every couple of weeks out of your paycheck. And then, 40, 50 years later, you finally retire at 65 or 70, and then here it comes to payment. And I just played around with the annuity software I had one day, plugging in what I'm putting in the Social Security and then the employer match, which in my case is me, and putting that money in and comparing that to an annuity I could go buy. You can't find an annuity that good. Social Security is a good deal.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons it's a good deal is, there's no profit motive inside Social Security. In any annuity, you're going to, part of the money is going to pay the annuity company. They're not doing it for free to give you all these guarantees. In Social Security, that's stripped out. So deferred income annuity, we use these quite often when somebody comes to my office. Hey, Gary, I'm 50. I'm not going to retire until I'm 65. We can go out and get quotes. We have software so we can go get quotes in a moment's notice on those type of annuities. And literally within 60, 90 seconds, I can see who's got the best rate in the country. So, one day it might be Symetra, the next day it might be MetLife, the next day it might be Prudential. Different companies will have different rates depending on your age and, when you want to take income, et cetera. So we have some good tools to find the right annuity if an annuity is a possible fit. And then the last annuity I want to mention to you today is a fixed indexed annuity. So this is a hybrid. It has components of a fixed annuity. It has components of a variable annuity without being variable. And you put the two together, and it is to me, if you look at all six, usually it's the top one or two solutions if you are going to use an annuity in somebody's retirement income plan.
Really?
There's about 430 fixed index annuities.
What?
430
different kinds?
Yeah, 400 with different ones offered, and they're all got all kinds of ifs, ands, and buts. And they're coming out with new ones all the time. So it's a challenge on my end just to stay up with these. And sometimes they are coming out with new ones, but really when you get down to it, it's really they're just copying somebody else. So there's a lot coming in. There's so many new products coming out on the fixed index side because they have become so popular and so much money is flowing into them. There's a lot of competition. A lot of the big annuity companies were not offering fixed index annuities 5 years ago. And today, virtually every major insurance company you can name has a product on the shelf because so much money is going into these types of annuities because it can give you guaranteed lifetime income with either zero fees or a very, very low fee. So anyway, it could be a good solution. Again, none of the annuities we've talked about today are maybe the single solution. In fact, sometimes we may be using like a MYGA. We're using a MYGA annuity right now for a client. But also in addition to that, we've got a QLAC annuity for the same client, and we have a fixed index annuity for the same client. So we're using different annuities at different periods of their time in their life, bucket planning. So that QLAC is not going to turn on money till they turn on 85. The MYGA is turning out money right now because they just retired, and the fixed index annuity is going to start paying out when that MYGA annuity stops paying out. So that's kind of a laddering or bucket plan approach out there. So again, like I said, when we first started out the conversation, Dave, we could spend an hour or so on each one of these types of annuities. We don't have that much time today, but kind of the bottom line I want to leave everybody with today, an annuity should be something that you might want to consider in your plan, but work with a good financial planner that can work it in the plan and show you with math and science, not opinion and not emotion, not saying, hey, annuities are the greatest thing in the world, or the opposite end, I hate annuities and so should you. See if an annuity is a right fit for you or the annuity that you already own is a right fit for you. In fact, we're getting ready to do a couple of workshops in July. And it's the workshop is targeted, Eric, toward people who own annuities right now.
All right.
And we are offering them then a complimentary consultation, come in the office so we can punch all the parameters of their annuity into the software and show them exactly what they have. Take out the emotion, dollars and cents. Here's what you have. Is this a good fit in your situation or not? So anyway, we think it's a very, very good tool. And it's a good tool for some people, not all people. But that's why you have to sit down with your financial advisor, find out if it's a right fit for your situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And for all of those that are listening to this, Gary does a tremendous amount of research because obviously he has to, because then he turns around and educates people. He educates his clients, runs seminars like he's talking about, educational events like that. If you're listening to this podcast and you did not get to that educational event, call Gary, right? I mean, that's the bottom line, is that he's the one that's providing it. If you are listening to this podcast after July, after that event has happened, after the seminar that Gary had, that's okay. Give Gary a call. Gary, how can they reach out to you?
Real easy. They can just call us here on our main line here at the office. That's 281-359-7900, 281-359-7900, or they can go to our website, which is just www.thekig.com. And there's a place on there to ask questions on there, or just go in there and say, hey, please give me a call. And one of the gals here in the office give you a call and arrange a time for us to get together.
Perfect. Thank you, Gary, for your time. And thank you all for listening to the Retirement Guy podcast with Gary Alden. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Gary comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends and family. Again, thanks for listening today. For everyone at Kingwood Investment Group, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Retirement Guy podcast. Click the subscription button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Kingwood Investment Group. The content has been made available for information and education purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions that you may have regarding your investment planning. Kingwood Investment Group is independent of Next Financial Group, Inc. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Next Financial Group, Inc., member FINRA/SIPC.